If listening to your body feels scary and confusing, you are not alone. Diet culture has actually taught us not to trust our own bodies. So many women that I work with, and including myself in the past, are so disconnected with our bodies. We don't understand our hunger cues, our cravings, why our energy levels are the way they are, or even our menstrual cycles. But it is 100% not your fault. That is what I have found through and through. It is just that we are conditioned by society, by the diet culture, by the fitness industry, by everything to not listen to our bodies and trust what our own bodies are telling us. And I've actually fallen for this so many times in my life. However, one of the biggest ones was about, I'd say like 13, 14-ish years ago. I was a runner and I was following the paleo diet. And that was just my excuse. So I didn't have carbs or didn't have processed carbs. I was afraid that if I had processed carbs, I would be what is considered fat. And if you take a look at me in that time period, I was actually very, very small in general, but I didn't see that when I looked in the mirror at myself. I felt like I needed to be much smaller, and I turned to running for a lot of that, but also to help my mental health. And what I really found through this whole process was that I was trying to escape some of the things going on inside of my head and my heart. And I was putting it all into my body, whether it was dieting, eating a certain way, whether it was running, even when I knew I needed to take time off. To the point where I would run and eventually my body was just breaking down. I finished a race that I actually qualified for another race I was trying to get into, and I could barely walk at the end because my hip was so messed up. I was overtrained, I was limping. I just felt terrible in that period of my life. But a lot of it too was I was getting a lot of praise from other people of, oh my goodness, you look so great. Or how do you stay so skinny? Or how can you eat that much? I wasn't eating a lot at all. But I was getting all of this praise for how my body looked or what I would do for my workouts. People would be like, wow, you're just so good at running, or you run so much, blah, blah, blah. I was getting all of this attention and praise that made me stop thinking about my own body and just start thinking about how I can get more attention and praise to feel better about myself. And what it was really doing was just masking the insecurities I had, the pain I was going through from a breakup, and so much more. So, a lot of the restriction or under eating or following a certain diet or over exercising, it actually is just a mask for something else. And yes, of course, the diet industry and the fitness industry is telling us to be a certain thing, to live a certain way, and you'll get the praise, you'll get the accolades, you'll, like I was, you'll be like lifted up just because of how much you've put into your image. And a lot of what this has taught us is to ignore our hunger cues, that if we're hungry, that is actually bad. We don't want to be hungry. We also just don't want to eat too much because we want to maintain a certain figure. Or that rest is laziness. So taking a day off from your workouts is laziness. This is something I actually still struggle with, not necessarily towards my workouts, but even like business alone thinking that rest is just lazy or I should be doing X, Y, and Z if I want to get ahead, etc. Or that cravings are a lack of willpower when I know that cravings are just signs from our body that something else is going on, that it needs some type of nourishment, needs some type of nutrient that it's missing. Or that PMS, whether it is bloating, period pain, heavy periods, cramping, etc., all of that is normal. And so, with all of these symptoms, one of the things I say over and over again is symptoms are just whispers from your body that something else is going on underneath the hood. And if we're not listening to these whispers, they are eventually going to come back and literally blow up our life in a certain way. So, whether that is a diagnosis, so eventually my over exercising did turn into adrenal PCOS. That is something where I ignored my whispers for so long that it was hard to ignore the yelling that my body was doing after, of how much actual pain I was in from my PCOS and endometriosis because I didn't listen to the whispers first. And when we're not listening to our body, it can impact us in so many ways. Physically, we can be fatigued, we can be bloated, we can have other hormonal symptoms like acne coming up. We can be missing our hunger and fullness cues, so that can lead to undereating or overeating, which could lead to weight gain or unintentional weight loss. We also might have an emotional impact from ignoring these symptoms and signs, like feeling anxious, having guilt and shame around food, and so much more. And what's actually really scary isn't the symptoms or the food or the workouts or anything in between. It's actually the disconnection we have with our own body, who is trying to tell us through these symptoms that something is going on, that we should look at it and address it. And when we stop listening to our body, when we are disconnected with our body, that's when we start following what everyone else is doing, whether it is a fad or a trend in the diet industry or some cool workout that everyone is doing, though you don't know if you should be doing it or if you even want to do it. That's when we start putting ourselves on the back burner and start focusing on what everyone else is doing and trying to mirror that instead of listening to how we feel and thinking of what we should be doing in that same situation. So your body isn't a problem to fix, but she's a partner to listen to. And here are a few ways that we can start retapping into our body instead of pushing down and wondering if we're doing the right thing with our fitness and our nutrition, why our hormones are saying one thing, or if we actually have hormonal imbalances, or if it's just a fad or a trend that everyone's talking about. So these are a couple tools that I give to my clients to help them unlearn what the fitness and nutrition industry has taught them that's a little bit toxic and help them re-tap into their body and listen again. Number one, gentle nutrition over restriction. So if anybody ever comes to me and they're like, right away, I want to lose weight, I will be the first to tell them I'm probably not the coach for you if that's like your number one goal first and foremost. Because I believe in the hormone first method, which is my signature method, that if you have something going on, if you don't have the hunger cues or the fullness cues, if you have gut issues, if you have bloating, if you have fatigue, you're not able to sleep at night, bad periods, etc. If you have something like that going on, it is going to be so hard for you to lose weight. And so I don't care about your weight loss. I care about your hormones. And with gentle nutrition, we really focus on nourishing your body, filling your body back up, and not depleting it with another fad diet or another restriction that is at the end of the day not going to do you much good because your weight's all going to come back and your hormones are still going to be all jacked up. Number two, I talk a lot about cycle syncing. I am not the coach who believes in the classic form of cycle syncing where in your follicular phase you can do all of the high intensity workouts, the strength training, the HIIT workouts, etc. And then in your luteal phase, you can only basically walk and do yoga. I think that that misses a huge piece, especially if you do have certain goals. So for me, when I was a runner, if I was told I had to take the second half of the month off of running, that impacts my goals. Same with lifting. Right now, my goal is to be stronger, be faster, etc. Just live a really good life in longevity. But if I was told that I had to take that second part of the month off and not lift heavy, that would be a problem for me. So yes, cycle syncing does go a little bit into the workout piece. However, it also goes into how you approach your energy levels, what types of foods that you're eating. There are so many areas in our life that we miss out on the cycle syncing that would be beneficial if we leaned in to our cycle and those sweet spots within our cycle, like having more creativity during one phase versus the other, being able to plan and reflect in one phase versus the other. We as women have the superpower and this really cool tool with our cycle. And when we listen to it and how we use it is so important with our health instead of constantly wearing ourselves down and depleting ourselves even more. The next thing I talk about with my clients are symptom tracking because we do not know what we are not tracking. One of the things I've also talked about is if you want your doctor to believe you with your symptoms, you need to go in there with more evidence than just, I'm not sleeping well, or I don't feel right, or I don't feel like myself. I want you to go in with very concrete evidence around what is going on. How many hours a night are you sleeping? What nights are you not sleeping? How is your energy throughout the day? Et cetera, et cetera. Having these symptoms recorded helps us have visibility around what's going on underneath the hood so that we can attack it instead of just sitting here being like, oh, I just don't feel good. Let's dive in a little bit more, get some clarity around the symptoms, and then that is how we start going in using the hormone first method to attack those symptoms, reverse them, manage them so you feel amazing in your skin. And then finally, one of the big things that I empower my clients to do is have curiosity over control, which means I don't want them to think that their body is working against them. Like I said, our body is our partner in this whole journey. However, I want my clients to say, what is my body telling me? When I have this craving, why do I have this craving and what do I need instead? When I can't sleep at night, well, what's different? How is my stress level? How is this impacting me? And what can I do? So, getting really, really curious instead of just being like, well, what should I do? We want to understand what the root cause is, and then we can really work with our body, partner with our body to fix whatever symptom is popping up. So, a couple ways you can stop, pause, and really start reflecting so that you can get into a curious spot with everything. Number one, check in with yourself at least once a day. Ask yourself how you're feeling, where your energy level is, what you would change, if anything. Really reflect on that moment, that day, and what you may need. Number two, track without judgments. And so this could be your calories and macros. This could be how your sleep is, or your cycle, or how your digestion is. Find a way that works for you for tracking and then just track. Again, having that visibility is going to do so many great things for you if you have to take it to the doctor or if you are meeting with somebody like myself who is a holistic hormone coach. Having all of that evidence and then over time seeing how that evidence changes, whether it is improving, whether something kind of changes for the worse, at least you'll have that evidence to see what's going on. Respond to your body with kindness over shame. So, yes, I get it. It's frustrating when we can't sleep at night or when we get bloated or have acne breakouts. It is frustrating. It's embarrassing. I totally understand that. However, if you are shaming yourself and your body, you're digging yourself into a deeper hole. I know it's very like woo woo to be like self love and this and that, but it is important for us on our health and wellness journey to actually be taking care of ourselves, be taking care of what's in our head and our heart so that we're not just masking it with another workout, another fad diet, etc. Make sure that you are eating enough. Nourish your body. That is probably the top tip that I have for everyone, especially women, because we've been taught that we need to eat less and less and less. And eventually that will deplete our body, causing symptoms. So we want to make sure that we are eating enough, that we are nourishing our body, that we're moving in ways that feel really good for us, not just because we have to. And then use tools to reconnect with yourself and your body, whether that is journaling, meditation, grounding outside, whatever that looks like for you. It is important to reconnect with your body and get you out of this like lifestyle spin or this loop that we kind of just tend to go through day to day. Reconnecting with your body is one of the most important steps to also checking in with your body and making sure that you are on the right track for yourself. So, yes, it is really hard to have trust around our body when we've been told nonstop that we need to do X, Y, and Z. And maybe a diet has worked until it hasn't, or a workout has worked until it hasn't, or you lost a lot of weight initially and now you've plateaued or gained weight back, or it just feels really daunting, all of the symptoms that you have. I totally get it, and I've been there too. But it is not impossible to rebuild that trust with your body because you are the boss of your body, not the diet industry, not the fitness industry. Nobody but you is the boss of your body, and you should be in tune to how it feels. And just a reminder, All of those symptoms that you are feeling are just whispers from our body that something else is going on underneath the hood. So, are you listening to them? Are you leaning into them? Are you getting curious about what they're saying to you? That is the best place to start. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is one thing you're noticing about your body today? I will go first and start us off. I am noticing how clumsy I am because I am actually in my later luteal phase and I totally spilled a full cup of coffee in my bathroom this morning when I was getting ready because I'm just in my clumsy luteal phase. So now your turn. Let me know in the comments what you are noticing specifically about your body. And that is all I have for you today on Hormone Happy Hour. I will chat with you next time. Cheers.